Hello. Hi, Rahul.
Hi.
So, now tell me about yourself.
Okay, so my total experience is 2 years, and I have basically worked on React and in different domains, in health domain, in banking domain, and I have also done some projects for my learning as well. I like to explore new technologies, and I just keep building uh, some projects maybe from YouTube or from my own ideas. So that's what.
So, let's start with questions. Tell me, Rahul, what is script in JavaScript?
Use strict, it's a directive that was introduced in ES5, and the purpose of use strict is to indicate that the code should be executed in a strict mode. So, for example, you cannot use undeclared variables when we are using the use strict. Without using use strict, undeclared variable can also be used. All modern browsers support this use strict, so that's what it is.
So, why can't browsers read JSX?
Actually, a browser can only read JavaScript objects, but JSX is, it's not a regular JavaScript object. Thus, to enable a browser to read JSX, we first need to transform the JSX file into a JavaScript object. And to transform that, there are tools like Babel or Babel, how do you pronounce it? And we can pass the the JSX to the Babel, and it will transpile it to the JavaScript, the regular JavaScript, which browsers can read.
Okay. And what is React fragment?
Okay, React fragments, we can say they are just empty tags. So whenever we have more than one child in a render method of any component, we need a parent component above all the child components. So to wrap multiple components in the render method, we can use this React fragment. This makes our code lighter. Otherwise, we have to use div or the React.fragment. But the latest syntax is to use this empty tags, which is called React fragment.
So, what is the purpose of rendering React?
Well, each React component must have a render method. It returns a single React element, which is the representation of the DOM component. If more than one HTML element needs to be rendered, then there must be grouped together inside one closing tag, such as div or the React fragment. And this function must be kept pure. It must return the same result each time it is invoked. And as I said, each and every component in React must have a render component, be it functional or its component, the class component.
And what are the different phases of React components lifecycle?
Mainly, there are three phases for each and every component of React. One is mounting, updating, and then unmounting. And each phase has different lifecycle methods of React. And good thing is each and every component of React goes through this lifecycle. Yeah.
Okay, now tell me now, have you used component build amount and why?
Component kill amount, yes, I have used it. It is basically, called after the component is unmounted from the DOM. It is also used to clear the memory spaces. I remember I have used, so we had to implement a pop-up. Whenever a user clicks a button, a pop-up was displayed. And now to close the pop-up, user has two choices. One is to click the cross button, and the other was to press the escape button. So we had added a event listener for the escape first, and then to work it correctly, to behave it correctly, we added the escape button functionality by checking the key code, etc. And after the component is unmounted, we had to remove that listener for the escape button. So there I have used this component will now.
Okay. So, and what is event, and how do you create it in React?
In React, events are the triggered reaction to specific user actions. Like user can hover the mouse, they can click anywhere, they can press a key. So these are the events, user events in React, and handling these events are similar to handling events in DOM elements. Right, but there are some differences. Like events are named using camel case instead of just using the lowercase, and then events are passed as function instead of strings. And to create the functions of, we can take an example. Let's say we have a div, and whenever the user clicks it, we want to perform some action. So here the event would be onClick. We can pass the onClick event to the div, and the value of onClick would be, some function or some whatever action we want to perform. We can pass that value to onClick. So that is, here onClick is the event of React.
Okay. Now list some of the cases when you should use REST.
There are so many cases where we can use ref. One would be to trigger some imperative animations, and if you want to integrate third-party DOM libraries, we can use ref there. And also one more which I can think of is when you need to manage focus, select text or media playback. So for example, you have a registration form, and whenever it is loaded for the first time, we want the cursor or the focus of the form to the first input box of the form. So there we can use ref. We can just get the reference of that input box and set it to autofocus. That's how it can be used. And for media playback also we can use, if you want to, if you are building a video application, like where user can, like for example YouTube we are building, then we can decide upfront that whether the video will be auto-played or not, what will be the volume and all. So to get all those elements of the video player, we can use the ref.
So how is React different from Angular?
There are so many differences between React and Angular. The first and the most popular one is Angular is the complete MVC, whereas React is only the view of MVC. Angular uses the real DOM, whereas React uses the virtual DOM. In Angular, you have two-way data binding, so you can pass data from parent to child and child to parent. But in React, the data can be passed. There is only one-way binding. You can pass the data from parent to child. There are ways to pass data from child to parent as well in React, but that is not recommended. So we should use the state lifting and all, to avoid that. And React was created by Facebook, and Angular was created by Google.
And how are forms created in React?
React forms are similar to the HTML forms, but the difference is in React, the state is contained in the state property of the component, and it's only updated via the set state. Right? Thus, the element cannot directly update the state, and the submission is handled by a JavaScript function. And this function has full access to the data which is stored in the state of the function, and we can use it in the form. And the actual form we can use the same HTML tags, like form is there, label label is there, input is there. You can pass the input types. There should be a value attribute to the input, and this value comes from the state object of the form. So that's how we can. There are some libraries as well, which by using which we can create React forms more easily and more faster.
Okay. So tell me that what can you do with HOC?
HOC stands for higher order component and can be used for many tasks like code reuse, then probe manipulation. So basically, higher order component is a function which takes a component as an argument and returns by charging it. So it can add a new feature to it. It can add some details, some extra layer of details to the component which it got through the argument. And it is also used for state abstraction and manipulation.
And please explain Flux.
Flux is it is a architectural pattern which enforces the unidirectional data flow. So that is the main objective of Flux. It enforces the unidirectional data flow. It controls the derived data and enables communication between multiple components using a central store. So there is a central store from where the communication happens, and the store has all authority of the data. Whatever update is happening in the application must occur in this store itself. There are no other places. And in Flux pattern, there are actions, dispatchers, then of course store is there, and view is also there.
Okay. So what do you understand by single source of truth in Redux?
Single source of truth means there is a single store in Redux which knows the state of your application. That is used for storing the application entire state at one place. So all the components state are stored in the store, and they receive update from the store itself. That's why it makes the developer's life easier, because it has time debugging. You can install that Redux tools, and it's easier to keep track of changes over time with that Redux time debugging tool.
Okay. What is switch keyword used in React Router?
The switch keyword or tag, when in use, it matches the URL with the defined routes in a sequential order. So one switch statement can have multiple routes in it, and its job is to render a single route out of all the routes. So at the same time, multiple routes cannot be rendered if you are using switch. It bypasses the remaining routes and it renders the specified route.
And how is React Router different from conventional routing?
In React routing, whenever we go to a different screen, only the history attribute is changed. But in the conventional routing, HTTP request is sent to the server, and that takes some time to get back the data from the server, right? And the user sees the loader for that time. But in React, as I said, only history attribute is changed. The user thinks that he is navigating across different pages, but actually we are just changing the history attribute, and there is no HTTP request is required in React.
Okay, nice. We have a coding round also. So please open your code sandbox.
Okay, I'm opening the code sandbox. Just give me a minute. Okay, it's open. Let me share it. I hope you can see it.
Yes, it is visible. So let's start coding now.
Okay, just a minute. Let me open. Okay, it's open now.
Okay. So let's start coding. My first question is, what is a callback? And can you write an example of it?
Callback is a function which is called later in the time. So we can pass a callback to a function, and whenever some specific operation is done, we can call the callback, which is also passed as argument to the function. So basically, callback is a function which is called in the future. So you want me to write an example also?
Yes.
Okay. So for a callback, what I can write is, okay, let me write a very simple callback example. Let's call it modify array. It's going to be an arrow function, and the idea is I pass an array and a callback to this function. Now, in this function, there will be some operation will be performed on this array, and when an operation is performed, this callback will be called. Okay. So let me write that. Let's say we have an array of 1, 2, 3, and now let's say I'm calling this modify array and passing this array method, not method, array to it. And what this modify array does, it takes the array and it performs something. Let's say for simplicity, it just pushes a new number to the existing array. Okay, and now this callback can be called here. Now we need to pass this callback to this function. So for that, I can write a arrow function here, which is our callback. So in this this is the callback, and what this callback does is I can write is for the simplicity, I'm just going to print it, the newly constructed array. So here, like we can have any logic here, right? But unfortunately, I'm just printing it. I think it should work because we're calling the modify array, passing the array to it, and then we have our callback. And this callback is passed to this function. We are performing an operation, and finally the callback is getting called. Right. So let's save it and go to console. So you can see the latest array with the newly pushed number is printed here. So that's what a callback is. So this callback is passed to this function here, callback, and after performing an operation, the callback is also called, and whatever logic is inside this callback is executed, and we can see the latest array has been printed.
Okay. So moving to the last question. How do you pass data from child to parent and write an example of it?
Okay, to pass the data from child to parent in React, let me open a new code sandbox for React. I click create sandbox and then React. So can I take any example, or you want me to some specific example?
Yes, any example.
Okay. So to pass data from child to parent, for that let me create two more files. One is parent.js and one is child.js. And in parent, let me make it first letter capital, that is a convention. Also for that, I'm going to import React from React, and then I like to use the functional components, so that's why I'm writing this way. It has a return method, and let's export it. Now the idea is in the return method we are going to display the child component. So for that, let me copy it, go to the child component, here and create a new child component. Inside the child component, there is an input element, and if I go to parent now and import the child from child and display it here, child. Say now I want to display the child here. For that, let's go to the app. Here, let me copy everything from the child, and here I'm going to write parent, the name would be app, and let's make it a default export. Export default app. Okay, and of course I need to import it to parent from which one level. Okay, actually I should have created the child inside the SRC code. My bad. So anyways, let me go one level up and import it and save it. Because with that we can see the input box here, and whatever value, and the idea is whatever we have written here should be displayed in the parent component. So let's go to the parent component. To store this value, I'm going to use state with use state hook. Initial value is let's say type something in input. Okay, here let's call it child text and set child text. Okay, and I need to import the use state here. And after that, to get the data from child to parent, we need a callback. So let me write that get child value. Okay. And this callback will be passed to the child component. Let me pass that. And in the child component, it gets that callback in props. So we can restructure the prop here. And in the input, whenever the value changes, so the event would be on change, and we will call this callback. Okay. So whenever user types anything in it, the on change will trigger, and this will trigger the get child value callback of the parent component. So now we need to write some logic for the get child value. Here I get the event that's passed by this on change, and this event I can use the set child text and event dot target dot value. With that, whatever value is passed, whatever value is typed here, will be set by this method to child text, and which I can display here. So let me just write the h1 maybe, and then we the child text. Wait, there is an error. This it must be wrapped in. Okay, so there are multiple elements, right? So we need to wrap it in a rect fragment and save it. With that, if I type ABC, you can see ABC. So that's the passing data from child to parent company. Whatever I type, it's displayed here.
So it was nice to have a conversation with you. And have you any question for me?
Yes, I do have only one question. So, what kind of project I'll be working on, and how is the work environment in the company? So, can you tell me about that?
Actually, I am just taking your interview and I will share this feedback with your HR. She will let you know what project will be clear. Earlier it cannot be disclosed to you. So you will let know earlier and I assure you the work environment will be very nice. So, yeah, thanks. And have a nice day.
Okay, thank you. You too. Have a nice time. Thanks. Bye.